Okay, friends, so this is the term of Devorah CHABURAH. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. This week is, we're introduced to Avraham Avinu, and there's a very powerful medrash. The medrash tells us how Avraham Avinu discovered Hashem. It says a mashal, that somebody was passing by a bira, a palace, and he saw a bira doilekes. It was on fire, meaning there was something burning inside. So the question is, who lit the fire? Someone had to light the fire. So to Avraham Avinu, he sees the world is rotating, it's revolving, there's evaporation, condensation, precipitation, digestion, respiration, excretion, all the different processes. So Avraham Avinu says, who's cranking it, who's turning it, who's making it happen? But Avraham Avinu didn't just come to a realistic belief in Hashem by looking at the world, but by studying the world, he recognized the ways of Hashem, and it imbued with him a deep desire to emulate the ways of Hashem, which is the principle of Devorah. The central principle of Devorah is that if we just look like Hashem, we're falsifying the image. We need to be similar to Hashem not only in the way we look, but in the way we behave. And Avraham Avinu, through his study of creation, where he came to an emunah chushes, to a not just a belief in God's existence, but a tangible belief, an emotional belief, where he felt God. But it wasn't just that Avraham Avinu felt Hashem's reality. Avraham Avinu also had a desire to emulate the ways of Hashem, which are the ways of Chesed. Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim. So that's what we want to talk about a little bit today. We're going to read from the Sefer Or HaTzafon of the Alter of Slabotka in a classic shmuz that he has. He says, talking about this medrash, Avraham Avinu estakel bebira. Avraham Avinu gazed at the palace. Chakar v'darash. He investigated at shenigla lefana balabira. The medrash says that after the person observed who's lit the candle in the palace, the builder of the palace peered out his head and said, "It's me." So likewise, when Avraham Avinu asked, "Who created this world?" Hashem said, "Here I am." Hikar is boirei ha'olam u'manhigai. He recognized the Creator and the one who guides it. Lamad es drachav. He learnt the ways of Hashem. Hanhagasai ba'olamai. Ad she'igia la'oisa nekuda hamerkazis haniras b'yitziras ha'olam. Until he reached the central point that is apparent in creation. Havayasai, the way the world came to be. Sidurai, the way it was arranged. Vahanagasai, the way it's guided. The central principle of the creation is Olam Chesed Yibaneh, that the world is built on kindness. Kol ma shebarah HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whatever Hashem created, Toichnai, V'tzurasai, its form, its image, Chesed. Every detail of creation is Chesed. Kol prat v'chelek me'abriya, every detail, every component of creation, Malei Chesed miyuchad, is full of unique Chesed. Be'oifyoi she'ein bezulasai, in a way that is not elsewhere. Meaning every detail of creation shows a different facet of Hashem's Chesed that's not apparent elsewhere. V'habriya kula hi harkava nefla shel chesed b'chesed. And the whole creation is a wondrous combination of various components of chesed. So the oceans reflect one dimension of Hashem's chesed. The skies reflect another dimension of Hashem's chesed. The clouds reflect another dimension. The birds reflect another dimension. And the combination of everything produces a wondrous tapestry of Chesed of Hashem. Chesed Hashem ala aretz. Umikivan shenivra adam b'tzelem Elokim, since man was created in God's image, chayvasai umatarasai, it is an obligation and goal laleches v'darchei Hashem, to go in the ways of Hashem. I mean, I didn't prepare this from this line. I just thought the general idea was appropriate for Dharma Devorah, but this is literally the opening line of Dharma Devorah. This is literally the opening line. That since we're created in man's image, it's our obligation to go in his ways. Lehidamais l'kainai, to be similar to our Creator. Mahu afata, just like He, so to you. Kamaisha HaKadosh Baruch Hu bana olamai b'chesed. Now listen carefully. Hashem doesn't just guide the world in chesed. He created it for chesed. So how do you emulate that? In other words, you could act with chesed, so you're emulating Hashem, who deals with us with chesed, so we could deal with others in chesed. But how do you emulate Hashem, who created the world for chesed? How do you create the world for chesed?
So is it, when it says Hashem created the world, and it's different layers of chesed, does it refer to the natural parts of the world, and then the emulating chesed is man-made creations, meaning man creating things for the purpose of chesed?
That's not how we usually refer to it, because we can't even begin to think how would that be possible to emulate that facet of the world being created for chesed, because human being doesn't have the capacity to create for chesed. But we'll see that's what the altar of Slabotka is getting at, where the ultimate way that we could emulate Hashem is to literally create, to do chesed. He says, man is obligated to build the world with chesed. Midazu tzricha lahakif as kamasav umefal, of this midah needs to encompass all of one's actions and deeds. HaKadosh Baruch Hu meitiv in briyosav. Hashem bestows goodness on all of His creations. Masbia l'chol chay ratzain. He satiates every living thing's desire. L'chol echad v'echad lefi tivai. To each and every being according to its nature. Techunasai, its inclination or its sinai. Af ha'adam mechuyav lehetiv l'chol ha'yitzurim. So too, man is. So think about it. Hashem showers chesed on all of creation, from, like the Ramban says, from the largest animals to the microscopic egg of an ant. So therefore, man is chayiv to show kindness to all of creation. L'chol echad ba'oifen v'signoin hamasim lai, to each creation in the manner which is appropriate for him. V'loi davar kalu l'malei chayiv kazeh. It's not an easy task to fulfill. I mean, it almost seems like, even though there's technically not a mitzvah to do chesed to an animal, but in terms of emulating Hashem, if one were to show kindness to any creature, that would be a fulfillment of walking in the ways of Hashem, who Hashem is meitiv to all of creation, which is interesting. It's not an easy obligation to fulfill. Nachutz leheschakim ulhesamek b'mahusay shemakabel atayv. It would be imperative to delve deeply in the essence of the recipient, b'koychais nafshay, its personality, b'tivai uver gashaisav, its nature, its feelings, v'lasais imay chesed haroy, and to do the chesed that's appropriate for it. V'acharei shehisamek Avraham Avinu b'mahusay shel ha'adam hanivra b'tzelem Elokim. After Avram deeply delved into the essence of man who is created in God's image, he recognized shekavoid v'tainog malachim hu hachesed haroy l'chol adam. Avraham realized that for every human being, it is worthy to give the chesed of kings. That's what they deserve. That's what they appreciate. Concierge service. That Avraham Avinu realized that man, the appropriate chesed to man is kavod malachim. Haya goimel chesed l'cholish. Avraham Avinu bestowed kindness on every man. Machnis kol oirech b'beisai. He housed every guest in his house. Ma'achilai. He gave to eat. Mashkehu. He gave to drink. Umechavdoi b'chavod malachim. And he honored with the honor of kings Avraham Avinu. Our forefather Avraham, Av ha'olam, father of the world, Meshamish es ha'pachos shebepchusim ha'mishtach v'avak raglav. He personally served the lowest of the low, that bowed to the dust of their feet, because he's emulating Hashem, who bestows chesed on worms. So it's not beneath Hashem's dignity to shower chesed on a mosquito. So Avinu served hand and foot to people who worship the dirt of their feet. So what did Hashem do? What did God do to test Avraham? Nakav chor mitoich Gehenim. He pierced a hole in Gehenim. So now Gehenim is shining down on the world. It's hot like...
Shut down.
Or you mean he made a hole, so now Gehenim is shooting upward? Well, Gehenim is now heating up the world. I mean, Chazal say that it's in the sun, it's from the sun, so I guess it's coming down, right? Because the Gemara says that the Gehenim and Gan Eden is the same thing. For tzaddikim, it's the warm glow of the sun. For the Risham, it's the burning, consuming heat of the sun. Ha'olam nepach letanor loyhet. The world was transformed into a burning oven, Gehenim, literally the purgatory. Bnei Adam lo yatsu b'derech. People weren't going outside. Ve'enam zekukim lechesed shachnas asarchim. Nobody needed kindness. Nobody was around. Pater humi mitzazu lefi hasagasenu. Based on the way we look at it, Avram was pater from any obligation of doing chesed, because nobody needed it, so he's exempt. You only do chesed if somebody needs it. There's no mitzvah of driving people to the hospital if nobody's sick. There's no mitzvah of bikur chaylim if there are no sick people. The obligation is to bestow goodness on someone who's lacking. On this day, that everyone's sitting in their house, it would seem there's no place for inviting guests. What did Avraham Avinu do? He waited at the doorway. Who could he possibly anticipating? Who could he help out? What do you mean who could help? Nobody needs it. Why would he be looking to help people if nobody needs it? Isn't the purpose of doing chesed to supply what others are lacking? Nobody's lacking anything. Ma'as Avraham Avinu, what Avraham Avinu do? Yashav v'pesach ha'oyel. He sat in the entrance of the tent. Yoishevu mitzapeh, sitting and anticipating, because midas chasdoi lo higia lekatza. Because the attribute of kindness did not reach the extreme. Tairas chazdoi lo nestaima. The Torah of Chesed was not complete, meaning, even though nobody needed it, the obligation of Chesed had not been. He's not exempt. Why? Because he didn't learn Chesed from just the Shulchan Aruch of when you're obligated and when you're exempt. He learned Chesed from the source of Chesed. V'mnei shalamda mimakara Chesed. V'Torah zu oimeres asei Chesed kechazdoi shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This extreme of Chesed, this parameter of Chesed says you should do Chesed like the Chesed of Hashem. Mahu afata. God doesn't just do Chesed when somebody needs it. God created the world in order to do the Chesed. Hashem didn't say, oh, these poor people, they need my Chesed. Let me make bananas for them. The people weren't there. God created the people, and then He created the food for them. So that barometer of Chesed says, you don't just do Chesed because someone needs it. You have an intrinsic desire to do good, and if necessary, to create in order to bestow. It's not complete Chesed if there is someone waiting for the Chesed. Chesed hu kechazah shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Chesed, which is like the Chesed of Hashem, what does Hashem do? Shabara es ha'adam b'chtei lehetiv imay. God created man in order to shower Chesed on the man. He didn't see, oh, this poor guy walking around, let me give him food. He created the person to give food to. Yatzar es hachesed oid koydem brias ha'adam. He created the chesed even before he created man. Hashem created this wondrous world to be able to use it to do chesed to man. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hizmin oilam noah. Just like Hashem prepared a beautiful world, koydem shabaras ha'adam, before he created man. Heichen es hachesed va'atoiv. He prepared the kindness and the good. Af ata, we're obligated to do that. Meaning, we're obligated to prepare the chesed and to anticipate even before someone needs it. To think at night, let me think, what chesed could I do to somebody tomorrow? You don't even know anyone who needs it. But we're going to see that Avraham Avinu was able to go so far that he actually created to do chesed. How so? Because there's nobody around. So Hashem had to send angels who don't eat. And the Meir says Hashem made a miracle that the angels ate. So Avraham Avinu actually created eating angels, so to speak. Through his desire for chesed, he orchestrated a new creation.
What's the purpose of going against Teva? Why not Hashem just send regular humans in order to give Avraham the opportunity of chesed? What's the need to see?
Because this is, so to speak, the greatest form of emulating Hashem, to be able to create in order to do chesed. Avraham Avinu reached in this moment the highest level of emulation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu of anyone in history. Because through his desire, if Hashem would have just sent hungry people, then there would have been something lacking in his emulation of Hashem. Because, okay, so Avraham Avinu, he wants to do chesed. Oh, luckily somebody needs it. But to actually emulate Hashem, where you are the source of the creation of an entity in order to do chesed, that would be like the highest. I once thought that, there's a medrash, that what did the Malachim say to Avraham? He said, in the reward for this, you're going to have a child. So in a certain sense, Avraham Avinu was Zeicha to create someone in order to do chesed to. That since he came as humanly possible as there is, that he brought about these food-eating angels to do chesed to. As a reward for that, Hashem said, I'll let you emulate me perfectly. You'll have a child, so you'll bring someone in the world in order to do chesed to. That's why the Medrash says, we find here by Avraham, also by the Isha Hashunamis, that the reward for Achnasas Orchem is children. Why? Because Achnasas Orchem, the Shlach HaKadosh says, of all the forms of chesed there is, the one that most closely resembles emulating Hashem is Achnasas Orchem. Because what are we in this world? We're guests in Hashem's house. This world is Hashem's house. He gives us, He's very hospitable. He gives us food, He gives us drink, He gives us clothing. And the best host is someone says, who's not even there. And the best host is somebody, he makes you think it's your house. You're so comfortable, he makes you think it's your house. So Hashem says, yeah, come into my house. Food, clothing, drink, and you'll be so comfortable, you'll think it's your house. So the Alter Slabotka says that a person is also obligated, we're on the fourth line on page, in the second paragraph, Reish Lamed Ches. A person is obligated to prepare chesed, to anticipate the opportunity to do chesed. If he's not able to fulfill this objective, he's not reaching his perfection. So listen to what Avraham Avinu did. Shadrei le'Eliezer l'meipak lebara. He sent Eliezer to go outside. Nafak v'layashkach. Eliezer said he went out, he didn't find any guests. Amar, Avram said, Loi mehemna lech, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Avram says. Hainu da'amrit haman, the Gemara Bava Metzia says, that's what they say over there. Les hamnusa ba'avdei. You can't trust a slave. Nafakiyu, so Avram Avinu himself went out. Bava Metzia pevav. Nishtane hateva. The nature changed. Gehenum ba'olam. The world was a purgatory. Ein oiver b'sham. No one was passing by. Nitla mimeno of shas lahitiv. It was removed from him any opportunity to bestow good. L'hidamais l'kainai. Muchanu mazuman hulasas chesed. He was prepared to do chesed. Avol livroi mekabel chesed ein bekoichai. To create a recipient that he doesn't have the opportunity to do. So he was able to fulfill the first half, which is the eager anticipation to do chesed even before it's needed. That he was able to do. But to create a recipient, he can't do. So esachela karishain shal ma'aseh chesed ki em b'shleimus. The first component of doing chesed he fulfilled wholeheartedly. Heichen es chesed. Aval esachela kasheni, the second part, einenu yachal hashem. He's not able to fulfill. Yasha b'pesach ha'el v'hitztayar. He sits in the entrance of the gate and he's distressed. Hishtoike glasos chesed shalem. He desired to do a complete chesed. Me'ein chesed shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ra HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'tzaroi. God saw his pain. V'shalach lei malachim b'dmus b'nei Adam. And God sent him angels in the guise of men. Azru min hashamayim. They helped him from heaven. La'asos chesed. Shu kachesed shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Namely, Yatzroi b'shviloi yitzira miyuchedes. Hashem created for him a special creation. Malachim, angels, oichlim kibnei Adam, that were able to eat like men. B'chtei sheyuchal lahetav imam, so Avraham Avinu could bestow chesed on them. So, look, Avraham Avinu didn't actually create them, but through his desire, he precipitated a new creation. So this was a perfect emulation of Hashem. It had both components of the desire to do chesed before the opportunity arises, and the ability to really bring about a new creation in order to do chesed too. I wanted to add that the full reward, it wasn't just a reward, it was like a natural consequence that he was zocheh to have a child. Hashem said, you know what, I'm going to let you actually bring the creation in the world in order to do chesed too.
Yeah, but it was also Lamala Manateva, because it says in Yavamas that Avram and Sarah were Tumtumen. So that act of chesed was Lamala Manateva, so Yitzhak coming about was also Lamala Manateva. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, it was supernatural. The Gemara says, sorry, Meinu, Eilan es Haisa. Now the Alter quotes a Tan Bel Yo. Ha'imar shloi achla malachim etzel Avraham. Anyone who says the angels didn't eat by Avraham, lo yamar klum, is wrong. Ela b'tzidkasei shloisei tzadik, in the righteousness of that man, v'schar toirech shetriach, and the reward for his efforts. Pasach lama kadosh baruch hu piyam v'achlu. God opened up their mouths and they ate. Shenemar v'hu oimed aleim tachas eitz v'yachilu. Zacha v'chesed me'in chesed shal kadosh baruch hu. He was zocheh to a kindness similar to the kindness of Hashem. Chesed shehu lamala mi'cholas ha'adam. Chesed that is above and beyond man's ability. Yitzira chadasha, a new creation. B'chtei sheyuchal asos chesed, so that he could do chesed. Kechefetz libay, as his desire. Utshukasai, lihidamai sakainai, to be similar to Hashem. So this is a appropriate limud in the context of the Torah Devorah. The Torah Devorah says that it's not sufficient just to look like Hashem, but we have to act like Hashem. And the ultimate emulation of Hashem is not only to do chesed, it's to want to do chesed even before the opportunity rises. And we are humanly possible to be able to, so to speak, create the situation even in order to be able to bestow kindness on people. So in other words, like the highest value of a desire to start a family is, most people don't think this way. I want to have a family in order to bring people to the world, in order to shower chesed on them like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? Thank you very much. Hagun Shabbos.